Welcome to Waters of Memory. My name is Eric. I help you cut through the fog, find your true desires, heal, and live your purpose. You can purchase my services or schedule a coaching session with me at my website in the link tree in the description. If you like what I do here on YouTube, you can support me for as little as $5 a month over on Patreon. And I offer a range of healings, rites, attunements, and empowerments in the higher tiers. Anyone who knows me personally or has watched any of my other videos is not going to be surprised that unconditional love is one of those phrases that drives me up the wall. People act like if we come together, sing kumbaya, the wars will end, animals will stop eating each other, and all the unpleasant and painful aspects of life will just be swept away. The reality is, if unconditional love exists in any meaningful sense, then it must encompass both the warm and nurturing and pleasurable sides of life, as well as the chaotic, destructive, painful sides of it. I think of Kali Ma and how she represents a motherly energy. And she can be nurturing, especially in the sense of that mama bear sort of energy, where a mother is protecting her cubs, but also in the sense that she will destroy you before you can destroy yourself. And that is an expression of love that is often completely omitted when we are talking about unconditional love. It is the sort of love that would burn down a forest full of nothing but dead growth in order to nourish the soil and ensure that anything that grows there in the future is not at risk of combusting because of all the dead matter that has been left laying on the ground. Now, I think a lot of people who are drawn to this notion of unconditional love carry a great deal of trauma, and they don't have a strong sense of self. And more than likely, they have suffered greatly in coming around to the point where they have embraced this promise that things can be nothing but positive vibes, that they can look at the world, they can look at other people, and because everything is a mirror, if they are embodying this positivity, they will get it back. They will feel good for maybe the first time in their lives. And it's a seductive promise because there's no guarantees when you tell someone like this that, well, you have to face what's within you. You have to transmute this this thing that you've carried with you your whole life if you want to come to the other side of it. If they've already tried and failed, or they've tried and maybe they've made some progress but they don't feel substantially better, telling them that they have to go through more, nobody wants to hear that. And there's also this ethic of suffering in the West where a lot of people will tell you, we're conditioned when we're young that suffering and pain is a virtue unto itself, even when it doesn't get us anywhere. And people are desperate to break free of that pattern. But I think what's missing more than anything else is this need to acknowledge the self, this need to acknowledge what you are experiencing and what you need and where you stand in relation to others, especially in times of conflict. And that's a major reason why this emphasis on unconditional love bugs me so much. Because if you're actually embodying unconditional love, okay, people will tell you, always think about the pain that the other person is experiencing. Think about the hidden battles that you don't see. Well, let's say somebody pulls a knife on you. Are you really going to be worried about it in that scenario? And if you are, how much have you abandoned yourself to get to the point where your survival instincts are pushed completely to the side and you are focused entirely on the other person and what brought them to the point that they would draw a weapon on you, and not your safety, your survival, your anger, your justified anger, your wrath, if that's the only way that you get out of that situation alive, if that's the only way someone you love who is with you gets out of that situation alive, all of that gets pushed aside in favor of concerns of love for this other party. See, this stuff that makes the rounds in the spiritual community, it really only makes sense in a lot of cases when we're talking about people who are deeply selfish and, quite frankly, narcissistic when they get that advice. And they're not going to be improved by it. If they take it to heart, they're going to apply it in a way where they don't actually care about other people. They just use unconditional love to bolster their own image and use it to get more people to quasi-worship them and devote energy and love and money to them. Meanwhile, people who have genuinely good hearts and good intentions, but usually a very weak sense of who they are, they apply these things in earnest, and in doing so, they forget that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to give someone the consequences that their actions demand. Nobody is actually served by denying someone their due when they have crossed a line. If someone, heaven forbid, ever put you in that position where the best thing to do ends up putting them in prison, realize that that might be the thing that actually causes them to get their life on the right track. And if it does not cause them to reflect, you're very likely dealing with someone who, under no circumstances, will they reflect, because free will is a reality. You can't make these decisions for other people. This idea that everything is a mirror, I don't like that idea. I'm going to do a video on it eventually. But to the extent that it is true, it is, I don't know if it's misunderstood or if a lot of the teachers are teaching it wrong on purpose, because I think there's a lot of people who genuinely want to put people under their thumb and use them for money, use them for attention, and use them for energy. But regardless of what's actually going on with that, you aren't going to get exactly what you give to the world. And you also won't see what you embody reflected back to you perfectly by other people and the world at large. So just because you are calm, you are peaceful, and you want de-escalation, it doesn't mean that you're going to get that from every other person. And sometimes the way that these energies interact, it's less about bringing things to a mutually peaceable and agreeable resolution than it is making sure that the scales are balanced at the end of the day, and that innocent parties are protected, and that you, if you are under threat, you do not sacrifice what is sacred to you and within you for the sake of trying to appease someone else who does not care. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional forgiveness. It does not mean unconditional acceptance. And it does not mean unconditional positive feelings toward anyone or anything else. It simply means, again, if it exists in any meaningful form, that you embrace every aspect of life. You embrace every aspect of creation. You embrace every aspect of who you are and who other people are. And you will give them the dignity of receiving the due consequences of their choices. And you will hold fast to what is important to you and give yourself room to express your anger, to ensure that your needs are met, and to ensure that the people that you love are cared for and that you are whole and able to be there with them and enjoy their company and care for them too. Thank you guys for joining me. If you liked the video, please share, like, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.